When I was 13, I visited the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem for the first time. My school in Haifa took all of the Bar Mitzvah boys to Jerusalem on a school trip, which included a visit to the famous wall. Now, I was very excited because we all know that this is the wall of wishes, and you can ask for anything. So I spent the entire trip thinking of what I should ask from God at the Wailing Wall. When we arrived there and approached the stones, I realized there was a problem. There were too many notes between the cracks. Now, what are the chances that God will read my note of all notes? I thought to myself. Nonetheless, I wrote my wish with the neatest, clearest handwriting so that God would have no problem understanding my request. And I pushed the note as deep as I could between the cracks because, as we all know, God reads the notes that are pushed in the deepest. Now, you may be curious what I asked for. Well, it was not health, success, world peace, or for that cute redhead Nellie to become my girlfriend. I asked for a motorcycle. Yes, I was 13 years old, not very smart, and I asked God for a motorcycle. Did God buy me a motorcycle? Well, when I returned home, I saw a Harley Davidson waiting on my doorstep. No. God does not buy things, especially not a motorcycle for a 13-year-old kid. He definitely gives us some credit in life, but He Himself has no credit card. However, I myself bought a motorcycle at the age of 20 and got a license to ride it, because at age 13 I already knew that God does not arrange everything for you. There are things that only we can be responsible for. Responsibility, that is the key word. There are people who take responsibility for themselves and others who expect God or somebody else to help them. Do you know the expression, God helps those who help themselves? Well, I'm not an expert in God's decision making, who He helps and whether He interferes with our lives or not. But I know for certain that every small action we take towards improving our situation helps. We can suffer trauma as a result of a car accident. Will avoiding driving as much as possible be an efficient solution? Because we would have no car accidents if we stayed at home and away from vehicles. But would that make sense? Should we give up traveling completely? If we take responsibility, if we make a small attempt and get behind the wheel after experiencing an accident and drive, just for 2 blocks, how do you think we would feel? Relief. We did it again, carefully. We will feel better with ourselves because we took a step to reduce the fear ingrained in us. The Indian teacher Sadhguru speaks about responsibility as responsibility. Responsibility is the ability to respond even when we are afraid, lacking the energy and on the verge of quitting. This means taking real responsibility. We stop following a diet because we are not losing weight. We give up voting because we feel we have no influence. And by doing nothing and not taking responsibility for ourselves, we are ensuring that something will not succeed. When something is not working, we don't admit that this situation was caused by us avoiding responsibility. We accept it as destiny, as eternal proof that success was not possible in the first place. This is the story we will tell ourselves. That's just how I am. It makes no sense that I would succeed. A person who takes responsibility is a happy person in any case, even if he made a mistake, because taking responsibility makes us greater than the sum of our mistakes. Responsibility gives a sense of control. We can maintain the original version of the old software installed in us from a place of anxiety, pressure, lack of confidence, low self-esteem, and any other emotional state. Or we can remember the times in our past when we did take responsibility, the times when we knew how to fall, fail, stumble without losing our enthusiasm, when we've managed to get up and move on. So I assume and hope that if you are watching this course, you must be curious about the subject, and you might not do anything with the ideas you hear, but you opened a door and took some responsibility, because this is about you. This is your life. Now I want to briefly define the problem we have with the same past event that we wish to forget. The same problem that stops us from moving on. And in fact, this is the same problem of a stuck vehicle. It is called a stick in the wheel. That's what it is. Failure, trauma, disappointment, crisis, whatever you want to call it, is a stick in the wheel that disrupts the growth we wish to make in our lives. A stick, you may ask? This stick is a huge tree trunk causing a permanent flat tire. That's incorrect. In most cases, we can extract the stick, and sometimes, because we tend to adopt patterns and fixations, this stick that inhibits us becomes our comfort zone. Sometimes the failure, the trauma, the disappointments, our past become our comfort zone, our excuse, our explanation for everything that is happening and will happen in our lives. I was abused as a child. I was expelled from school. I came from a dysfunctional family. I have a large stick in the wheel of life. I am a victim. Victim. What a tough word. Now, I do not disregard for a moment the pain and the trauma. I'm only saying that there are some people who are comfortable with adopting victimhood, and you may be angry as you would like, but this is based on psychological studies. So, what is stopping us from taking this stick out of the wheel in order to move on and grow? What stops us from erasing a bad memory? I believe that there are three possible answers to this. Number one, the stick is stuck very deep, and some of us do not have the power or the ability to get it out on our own. These are people who want to help themselves and definitely struggle and need professional help in the form of a psychologist, a spiritual guide, a book, a course. And requesting help is a positive and important thing. The problem is that there are people who expect support and training wheels for life. They expect someone else to be responsible for them. Sometimes, not always. In such cases, there comes a point when you need to remove the training wheels as you would with a bicycle. I will elaborate on this later on. Number two, because we are comfortable with this stick in the wheel. As I mentioned before, some people have adopted victimhood and lost all motivation and faith in themselves. They do not really want to help themselves or are genuinely struggling to help themselves. And there is a third possibility, fear. If I extract the stick, then the vehicle, meaning I, will start moving. And this scares me because some of us feel like a driver of a semi-trailer truck who hasn't driven for years. And we fear the moment we have to control our heavy truck by ourselves, our lives. There's a beautiful quote by Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. It comes also with a catchy tune. The whole entire world is a very narrow bridge, and the main thing is to have no fear at all. Now, there are several interpretations as to what this bridge is. I personally think that it is a bridge leading from this world to the afterworld, the other side. And we face three possibilities. Remain paralyzed with fear at the beginning of the bridge, look down at the frightening abyss we must cross our lives, and give up the attempt to cross it. The second possibility is to make our way to the middle of the bridge and remain stuck there because of some event, then look down, get hit with an anxiety attack, and remain paralyzed and unable to move. And the third possibility, to hold our head high, look forward and cross the bridge, ignoring the abyss. Whatever we do, whatever our decision, all of us, without exception, will eventually cross the narrow bridge and reach the other side. Therefore, the main thing is have no fear, because there is no point in being afraid. Our anxieties are always related to something in our past, and they are often exaggerated, irrational, incorrect, and redundant. As the French author Montaigne said, "My life is the sum total of all the terrible things that never happened." So let us begin our journey to release the stick from the wheel and cross the bridge with confidence using intentional forgetting. Here is a wonderful exercise which solves most problems and entertains many people.